Are you an idiot? Well, you're in good company. There are about 8 billion idiots on this planet, and that number grows every day. Don't be the guy or gal that says, "I'm not an idiot," because that makes you the biggest idiot of all. We all have our moments of brilliance and our moments of idiocy. Embrace it, folks. Don't be ashamed. Without those idiot moments, we would never be able to appreciate our brilliance. Welcome to I Love My Idiot, a podcast about the idiots we love, the idiots we loathe, and the idiots we can't seem to avoid. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Visit our website at ilovemyidiot.com.
Welcome to episode 10 of I Love My Idiot.
I'm your equal host, Clyde November.
And I'm Rosie November, and we're really excited to have you today.
August is always an extremely busy time of year for us.
It's birthday season.
3 children, all born within like a 2-week range. So it's super intense because we have one big birthday celebration that we do.
In fact, I take a whole day off of work just to make the cakes. So I make really fancy cakes, 100% homemade. I even make my own fondant.
And they're also delicious because a lot of times you get those fancy cakes and they're disgusting and
right.
No one actually wants to eat them.
These are 100% made with love by Rosie.
That's right. Rosie has figured out how to make fondant taste good.
I used to do it all by myself until last year. I started inviting a couple of friends over, and this year I actually had 5 women here helping me make cakes. It was awesome. What used to take me 12 hours, done in about 4 hours.
They all turned out excellent. And while you were busy making those cakes, I got to have Daddy Fun Day. Took the kids to the zoo, saw some animals doing absolutely nothing. They're all sleeping. Although little Rosie did tell me I'm no longer her best friend because the lion is her best friend.
Oh, she liked the lion.
It was a little hurtful. I don't even know why. The lion was like 150 meters away, sound asleep against the wall.
She's not very particular about her best friend status, is she?
No.
Oh,
and it kept bouncing. At one point, it was the giraffe. I told her it was actually a statue because the thing did not move for a good 10 minutes. We just stood there. And
Animals at the zoo always look so bored.
I know. I feel sorry for them.
I know, me too. But one exciting thing that happens during birthday season is my family come out of the woods to join us for the birthdays.
Welcome to the big city, and the circus comes to town.
That's right. They drive 7 hours to get here, and it's pretty exciting. Yep, and then my mom stays in the house. My dad and his wife stay in the RV, and Seamus sleeps on the couch. And then if Christine comes, she sleeps on the other couch, and her kids sleep on the floor.
Every year, now I love your family, but every year it is a little bit like the circus coming to town because there's always something that happens every single year while they're here.
Yeah.
That is a little bizarre.
Like last year, my dad was hospitalized.
Yeah. The night everyone came into town, we took them to our favorite restaurant. You had uncles and aunts that came into town too. So we had a party of, I would say, almost 20, 25 people at this restaurant.
They were not prepared for us because we did not call ahead. They pushed together 6 tables to get us all in there.
And then your dad eats something, and the thing that he ordered, I would say 3 or 4 other people ordered the same thing, except he ends up getting so sick and blames our favorite restaurant. And we're like, dude, there were several other people that ate the exact same thing.
You'll never believe it, but this year he actually admitted that he thinks he did not have food poisoning last year, that he actually got sick from eating something from a gas station before he got here.
Now that would make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
He missed the birthday party because he was too sick, and they were staying in a hotel last year. So he stayed in a hotel, but after the birthday party, he wasn't answering his phone. So Rosie rushes to the hotel with her stepmom and finds Dad in this delirious state because he's so dehydrated. He hasn't been drinking water all day and he's been throwing up and stuff. And so, you had to take him to the hospital, get a little IV bag in him before he knew his name again.
Some years we've had people just disappear, like this year. At one point, my mom completely disappeared.
Yeah, we were looking all over for her.
I find her in the backyard sitting under a tree, just meditating or just sitting there. I don't even know what she was doing. Maybe she was sleeping, but we lost her for 3 hours. It was crazy.
I think she was mentally trying to prepare herself for giving Andrew a foot rub.
we actually got to interview a few of my family members for this podcast.
That's right. And
everybody's going to get to visit with them.
They were all so eager to get on the podcast. When they all arrived, they were like, "You going to interview me?" So without further ado, let's get to those interviews with your family. First, you're going to hear from Mom. Then we're going to bring Dad into the studio. And finally, someone who we've been dying for you to get to know.
That's right. Seamus will be on.
Your favorite brother, my best friend.
Welcome to the show, Mom.
Glad to be here.
Are you really?
Yeah.
You don't look excited.
I mean, we've said some things about you on this podcast that are true, but unflattering. So something that I would like to talk to you about today, Mom. Tell us about the first time that you met Clyde and what you thought of him.
Yeah, well, I was rather shocked when that you brought Clyde in because...
Because I was so attractive?
Well, I did see your good features, but I was sort of shocked by the up to the neck buttons and the slacks and the soup eating. All seemed rather odd to what Rosie is generally dating back then.
Wait a minute. This is really interesting. So what you're trying to say is I did not seem to be her type.
Exactly. She liked the bad boys.
Hey, I'm a bad boy.
What?
Yeah.
Please.
I'm so bad that I wear ugly socks with sandals, even though I know it's, against the rules.
Bad in the worst kind of bad way.
No, but I've grown to love you, Clyde.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't, ride a motorcycle up to my house and treated me like shit and stuff.
I know. Must have been so hard to get used to,
right?
Someone who actually treats you right.
Yeah, it was completely out of character, but honestly, I'm so pleased.
Well, very nice. Well, I'm glad things worked out for you. I mean, you seem to have a fairly good life. If, your biggest complaint in life is having to eat soup 3 times a week, that's a major first world problem.
For sure.
Clyde was very straight-laced, polite. I was not used to you dating someone like that, Rosie.
Yeah, I wasn't used to it either, to be honest. I mean, I was 2 weeks away from breaking up with the guy before I got pregnant, so...
Yeah, and then I was really quite surprised that Clyde had it in him to...
Yeah.
That's right, people. This nerd gets freaky.
By freaky, I mean every time I try to role play with Clyde, he's like, let's not speak during.
Complete missionary style.
Can we at least remove the button up before we do it?
Look, that's not entirely true. It's just that sometimes she role plays in a real dark place, and I'm not willing to go there. But when it's standard stuff like doctor, nurse, I'm fine with that.
So it's just when she tries to use the toe.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just gotta say, I learned a lot growing up with Miss May here. She she was very open about life and things, and by the time I got to Clyde, I thought that was just normal. Yeah, we can talk about this and explore things together. And Clyde was like, time out, too far.
Yeah. I'm looking for a romantic evening, lighting candles, and she's like, oh, is this so I can pour the wax on your chest? I'm like, whoa. This is some kind of new thing I didn't even know about. I'm sure this is the worst moment in Mom's life, having to hear about our sex life.
No, it's pretty standard in my life.
This is standard conversations. So growing up, we used to call it tub time. And me and Mom would go and sit on the tub and we'd lock the bathroom door and we'd just sit and talk about life and things. And
one time my mom went out of town and my dad was a little bit cooler than my mom. but was never cool when my mom was around. Dad said to my brother, I want you to ride your bike down to the video rental shop and rent this movie because he had just read the book, and it was called Rising Sun. It was a Michael Crichton book. The opening scene has very graphic showing of a guy performing oral sex on a girl, and I was about 7, and I panicked. I didn't know what to do because this thing happens and I didn't understand what was happening in it. But this thing comes on the screen and I'm sitting there thinking, boobies. And I'm 7, which means my older brother is 13. And so I instantly cover my eyes. But I had one finger cracked because I wanted to see but I covered my eyes because I was like, if Dad sees me looking at this, he's going to turn this off. So I covered my eyes but I'm sitting there watching. And then I kind of peek over at my brother and he's doing the exact same thing, right? So we both had enough tact to realize if we act like we're enjoying this, Dad's going to turn this off. We looked at Dad and my dad was just in heaven, just staring at this thing
oh my gosh. Was this a rated R movie?
This was a rated R movie.
Wow.
And okay, so I was so young that I could not comprehend this. And this is a moment that went unspoken for years. It was only when I was about 23 years old that I asked my brother because I almost started to wonder if I had imagined this because it was unlike any other experience from my childhood. And when I asked my brother, he started laughing so hard that he nearly threw up. And then he told me that he thought he had imagined that whole thing.
Oh my gosh.
We both thought it was an imagined memory, except for the fact that we both share that same memory, so it had to be true. But he was a little bit older, so then he actually reminded me what was on it. And he was like, oh yeah, it was oral sex. And I was like, what? I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, why would Dad let us watch that at that age? So that was really my first experience with seeing anything or knowing anything.
And then I met Clyde a year later. And he didn't see what was coming, let me tell you.
Yeah, and he had no idea what he was going to be marrying into either.
Do you remember when you first met Mom?
I do.
Tell us about that.
So Mom came into town on a Thanksgiving. I think it was actually the week before, but we were going to do our own little pre-Thanksgiving celebration. They got lost coming into Denver because they had never driven in a city that big. Mm-hmm. And so they got lost and couldn't find our apartment. So we told them, just park somewhere, don't move, we'll come get you. So we drove to get them. And then we were like, okay, you can follow us back to the apartment. But Mom said, well, what if we get lost? So you jumped in the car with them and you were going to drive their car. So Mom actually jumped in the car with me. So we had this moment. Now, I'm socially awkward and I know I'm socially awkward. So this is my nightmare scenario to I had pictured and I had planned, as Rosie has told you guys many times, I like to plan things out, right? So I had pictured how my first conversations were going to be with your mom, and then your 2 siblings were there as well. I was not planning on having an awkward car drive all by myself, right? So yeah, I don't remember the car ride vividly. I remember feeling a little uncomfortable and being like, oh my gosh, I wish Rosie was here to to carry the conversation. And so I'm like, look at that street light. Why did I say that? I'm an idiot. What's wrong with me? So
I think I'm incompetent.
Exactly.
You always tried to dress really nice whenever you were meeting somebody in my family. And I'd warn you, this is not necessary.
I know, you'd be like...
I try to help you.
It's counterproductive to dress nice. They're going to be like, what is this guy? It was weird that everyone called me City Boy for several years.
Do you remember this awkward car ride, Mom?
I do. And I was as gentle with Clyde as I knew how to be. I could see that there was going to be more time with Clyde, and I wanted to make sure he knew that I'd kill him if he ever hurt her. Yeah. But honestly, he seemed very scared, and I I never had to worry too much about Clyde.
He took threats very seriously.
I avoid social settings of all kind. People should know that.
I remember when we finally got into the apartment, I think Mom and I had gone out onto the balcony just to sit, and we were looking at the sunset. Mom goes, "Is Clyde okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, why? He seems normal to me." And she's like, "That's normal?"
Yeah, I remember you guys going out to the balcony because that left me alone with Seamus and Christine, and we all just stared at each other awkwardly.
Yeah.
There was a good 20 minutes where we didn't speak.
Nobody really understood quite at first why I was with you because you were so awkward, and it's just how you are. Like it's not that it's not a reflection of who you are. It's just those initial sort of conversations that you have with people. You're just so awkward.
I'm someone who grows on people over time.
Yeah, like a wart.
That's true because sometimes once I grow on you, you can't get rid of me.
That's right.
You burn me off 3 or 4 times, but I keep coming back.
It's like your root. You can't get rid of that root,
Exactly.
you know?
You think they're gone, and then, a week goes by, and you're like, what the wart is back? Yeah, so that actually is a really good analogy, as painful as that was to hear from my own wife. But the thing is I do grow on people over time, and I know this about me. For example, when I started my new job about a year ago, I was like, this is going to be awkward because no one's going to know me. Everyone's going to think like, oh, great, we hired the weird dude. And several people told me, we thought you were so weird in the beginning. And I was like, I know.
Everybody thinks that in
I
the
know.
beginning.
And I'm like, it was really about Christmas time, December, where everyone was like, oh my gosh, this guy's awesome. Look at his collection of sweaters.
Impressive collection of sweaters.
Oh, yeah. It actually won people over. You know, people told me they were looking forward every day to seeing what I was wearing. But
and, he wears that button up underneath the sweater, too.
Oh, yeah. So, but that's...
Clyde hasn't changed since the beginning.
Yeah. But that's the thing with your family. As strange as they all are, I do adore your family. I know there's a lot of people that hate their in-laws. In fact, most of my married friends are all my in-laws are terrible. I actually like my in-laws. My best friend is your brother Seamus.
Yeah. So
There's,
one thing...
my mother-in-law, she doesn't get on to me the way normal mother-in-laws do that I hear about from my other friends. My father-in-law, he's pretty cool too.
That's just because they were ready to get rid of me and they're just grateful.
I know.
So you spent the whole weekend with us, Mom. How has it been?
Well, we had a wonderful time. Birthday party was great. It's always fun being in the same household as my ex-husband.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about that. What's that like?
It's not bad. I really like his wife.
Now, you were married to him in the prime of his junking life.
I was, yes.
And you lived on 4 acres of land where he could collect a lot of junk.
He filled it, the full 4 acres. I'm not even lying.
Now, question, is there anything that's still left on that land? You guys have been divorced 15, 20 years, maybe more?
No, I think I pretty much have all of it gone. Yeah.
That's when you knew it was officially over? You're like, there's the last piece of junk rolling down the road.
Did you remember the last piece of junk that went?
No, not really. I had a scrapper come in and I said, I don't want to even look, just take all of it.
I almost feel bad for Dad.
I know.
You gave his stuff to one of his competitors?
He moved away.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
In my
he
defense,
moved on to Tennessee, right?
Right.
And to many other women. So.
So going back to the junk, do you remember the tractor?
I remember the tractor. It never ran.
It never ran.
I'm not even sure how it got there.
That's most of the junk. We don't know how it got there.
He may have brought it while I was sleeping and then he kind of hid it in the back behind a shed. And then years later, I must have walked back there and said, oh,
we have a tractor.
Does this run?
But I remember the kid that came and got it. I don't know if you found him at the grocery store or what, but he was young, maybe 19 years old.
Just dumb enough to take it.
And the wheels were like disintegrated into the earth. It was just a hunk of rust is basically what was left of this thing.
It truly was.
And then right next to it was about 3 motors, so we had no idea what they went to. So this kid comes up with his dad's truck, and his dad is like, "You paid $50 for all this junk?" I'm like, why do we need this junk?
This is the kind of stuff your dad did when he was 19.
I'm pretty sure this kid thought it was going to make him rich, you know? Anyway, so his dad the whole time, he wouldn't even get out of his truck. He's just pissed, you know? Like, I cannot believe I drove all the way up this mountain, through the woods to get to this place, and now my son is picking up rust piles, you know? So here we are, helping this poor kid load this tractor onto this trailer that we can't move it, we can't push it. Seamus came up with this idea to, like, grab some 2x4s and stick it under it so we could, like, get it up. And then we had his dad, like, back into the trailer. And we got, like, half of it on. And then we lifted the other half with the same 2x4. We're like, okay, back up a little more. It was hanging off by about 4 inches, and we tied that sucker down. I sure hope we made it home. That's all I gotta say. And so he had only bought the tractor, but you start throwing in these transmissions. Bonus! Oh, these go with the tractor. The kid's like, no, they don't. But he was like so young and nervous. And you gave him this look of like, if you do not take these transmissions, you do not get to keep the tractor. And so, yeah, you're like, Seamus, get that one too. You started to point out other junk, and his dad is like, we gotta go. Like, we're still tossing stuff in as they're driving away.
It's true. I'm pretty sure we got that last transmission in while he was pulling out.
Got a lot of junk gone that day.
Do you regret promising to give our dear employee a foot massage?
A little. He was so charming and quite the looker, but those feet. Never quite seen anything like them before.
Not enough smelly lotion can help that.
No, pretty much not. You know, when I first saw him, I thought, oh, right, what a hunk of burning love, you know. But after I got those shoes off, it was over for me.
Just imagine how his poor wife, Mikkel, feels. You know, she's got to live with those feet.
She is a saint.
Oh my gosh. Well, at least it was only 10 minutes per foot.
Now, did you hold true and do the full 20 minutes?
Absolutely. I always hold true.
Well,
she's a woman of her word.
I really appreciate it because you saved the podcast.
Yeah. I'm just saying you're in now. You're invested. Seamus was also an early investor, and now you are an investor of time. And
that's right. Can we start listing Mom as a producer?
Yeah.
She provided services to make this work. So we now have an employee, we have a producer, and we have an early investor in Seamus.
We're basically a for real podcast at this point.
You have definitely used all that you can of me.
We're almost the junkers of podcasting.
That's right.
Because we've really paid almost nothing in actual dollars.
We're just throwing this together one scrap at a time.
Mostly volunteer work.
You know, I want to apologize for that foot massage because I feel like it was probably worse because I brought up that story about him just soaking his feet. I feel like had I not done that, maybe he still would have been washing his feet.
I know.
Oh.
But even so, like, his feet were still stinky when he was washing them.
Well, it's weird because he knew he was coming here for a foot massage. So usually a guy will, like, maybe prepare his feet knowing that he's going to be receiving a foot massage this day.
Not Andrew. That's...
He probably
That's not
got here
Andrew.
and actually forgot it was even happening. And then he's like, oh, wait a minute. I was showered today.
It would be really interesting to get Mikkel on the show to ask about how he courted her.
Yeah.
Because I've never known Andrew to be the type of guy to try to soup things up a little to make him look better. He's just is who he is.
He was wearing his shoes the whole time.
For the first year and a half that they knew each other.
She's like, it's weird. Why don't you ever take your shoes off? Same thing I thought about you and your socks.
Well, my feet get dry. I like wearing socks.
Oh my gosh. Seriously, Clyde.
I'm sorry.
That's fine. I live with it. I know.
Those socks stay on my feet no matter what activity we're doing.
Yeah, that's a true and accurate statement. Unless we're doing it in the shower, and then it's the only time I ever see your feet.
I know. Then I reluctantly take the socks off.
Well, Mom, we really appreciate that you came on the show. We're super grateful for you and all the joy and love that you bring to our lives.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me.
Welcome to the show, Dad.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah, so how many hours did you travel to get here?
6.5 grueling hours.
So why was it grueling?
Oh, it was hot, and we were pulling a camp trailer, and you have to stop and let your dogs out.
Growing up, we never, ever had nice vehicles. And now you drive a very nice vehicle. What's that like?
I can't believe how far I have come. And not just me, I mean the whole family as a whole, how far we've come compared to the old days,
At one point, we had a vehicle that didn't even have a floor. I mean, it had parts of floor, you were safe enough to be in the vehicle, but you could certainly see the asphalt from underneath the vehicle.
You were kind of straddling the holes in the floorboard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'd get a board and you'd put a board down just so that we weren't so scared.
Right, yeah. Yeah, that was fun.
What is the worst car you ever had to drive?
Oh, I remember, yeah. This old Toyota that I'd gotten somewhere. I can't remember where I got it. Your mom and I were bebopping down the freeway, and all of a sudden smoke started rolling up from the back seat, and it got hard to breathe, and it got hard to see.
Oh, no.
So we rolled down the windows, and we pulled over.
Smoke is probably just flying out of your windows.
It's just boiling out of the windows. You've seen that Cheech and Chong movie where they're up in smoke. We pulled over, and the back seat was on fire.
No.
Because where the muffler had broke off, the exhaust pipe was touching the floorboard in the back seat.
Goodness.
So the back seat was on fire, so I grabbed the back seat and I ripped it out of the car. We was parked next to a river, so I threw it in the river to put the fire out. This old hippie man in his school bus,
gosh.
an old school bus, was converted into his motorhome. He pulled over with us, He says, "You're on fire." I said,
I think we know.
Yeah, I know. He says, "You need any help? Need a fire extinguisher?" As I'm ripping the back seat out of the car, He, "You need a fire extinguisher?" "Nope, I got it." And I threw it in the river. And he says, "Yeah, that's one way to put it out." And then we just took off.
You still drove that vehicle?
Yeah, we drove it home.
Take some coaxing to get Mom back in the car?
She was pretty upset. Yeah, she was. I think I heard a few extra words from her that normally she wouldn't say.
Yeah.
I traded it off soon after that.
Oh, yeah.
With no backseat. The dealers will take just about anything.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, they'll take, as long as it runs, they'll take it. Well, you got to negotiate, but yeah.
You're like, even though it don't got the back seat,
yeah, it's
the
still
engine
worth
is good.
It's still worth $1,000. And dealer's like, "No, we'll give you $300. How about $500? Okay.
Just because they know you, probably went to high school with you.
Yeah, but back then I knew just about everybody.
The nicest car that I had owned, I was driving this really cute, almost brand new Ford Focus, and I crashed it. And Uncle Jack came out with his tow trailer, and he dragged the car the wrong way. So with those kinds of cars, you have to drag them a certain way or else your transmission goes out.
Yep.
The transmission was clearly in bad condition. The hood was a different color than the rest of the car because Uncle Jack had replaced it. Green car, red hood. We took this thing into the dealership. Somehow you negotiated, and we left with a running car that cost us nothing.
Right. Hey, that's the way you got to do it sometimes. And how long did you drive that car?
It was a 1998 Chevy Malibu, and we drove it until about 2 years ago.
Nice.
It would never die.
Right.
Clyde and I were wishing it would die. Most of the electronics didn't work anymore.
Yeah. Check engine light was always on.
We finally sold it for $700, which is more than I paid for it.
Right. Woohoo! Win all around.
10 years earlier, I paid $600 and I sold it for $7.
Well, sometimes you just gotta, wheel and deal. And I really need that car, but I don't have the money, and you just gotta get it.
Yeah.
Just gotta get it done. Talk them into it.
So we talk a lot about you being a junker. You're remarried now to probably one of the most wonderful humans on the planet.
She is a beautiful woman.
She is gorgeous. I don't know how you landed her. She's like 20 years younger than you.
Yeah. There again, you talk her into it. Kind of like talking to a car salesman. Good negotiations. Yeah. I can't believe she fell for it.
And then I believe Clyde high-fived you.
Right. We did the secret man's handshake.
Yes, exactly.
And, right on, dude.
Right. All the way home, Clyde's like, "Can you believe it?"
Right. I'm truly blessed.
God definitely has opened the clouds of heaven and poured some blessings on your world. But I was asking her this morning, what's it like being married to a junker? And she goes, "Oh, he hardly ever brings anything home anymore." What happened to you?
Oh, well, I might be still trying to impress her to keep her around.
So do you have like a special place where you put junk that she don't know about?
Yeah, I have some junk at work.
You married someone with standards.
Right. Who knew?
Sure. With my mom, you bought 4 acres on some farmland, and that thing was covered with junk. And now here you are in this nice house, beautiful wife, no junk.
Right. I used to move trailer houses.
You would move people's houses?
Yeah, I used to move people's houses. Oh my God. And so we bought that farm, that property. It was bare property, had nothing on it. I developed it and got it ready, put a driveway in, put a well in, put septic in. We lived in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath trailer house, a big one. And so I pulled that trailer, and it was a heavy, big one. We didn't move out of it. We left everything in it. And I thought, yeah.
You left everything in the trailer?
Yeah, everything.
Are you serious? Like dishes and everything?
Dishes, furniture.
No.
Everything. I even left the dog in it.
Oh my God.
And
that doesn't even seem safe.
I hooked up to it. My brother and I.
Yeah, he's just as crazy as you.
Yeah, he's pretty crazy.
And up for anything.
Up for anything. Yeah. I was actually the sane one of between the two of us. Well, I hooked up to this big old house trailer, and I started pulling. I told my brother, I said, you got a pilot car. You're going to stop traffic, because this thing was, 14 feet wide. It was wider than a lane, so you had to stop traffic and on stop signs and stuff. And I told him, you go out ahead of us and you stop traffic. And we had little walkie-talkies so we can talk back and forth. And I started up this side of this mountain with this trailer house, and
this is not a wide road.
No.
This is a very thin road. Where we lived, it was considered 2-lane, but probably should have been 1 lane.
Yeah. 2 cars could barely pass in most of the corners.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of corners.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and all of a sudden we started up this hill, and it was in the corners, and it was narrow, and I told him, I said, "Now you stop traffic." He said, "Okay, I'll do it." And and pretty soon here come all this traffic, and it was cars after cars after cars after cars, and I said, "E, what are you doing up there?" He said, "Well, I might have slipped a little bit." He was rolling himself a little doobie. I said, "Man, now is not the time."
You should have checked his pockets before you let him go out there.
Right.
A little wacky tobacco, as he used to say.
Right.
So when you got the trailer on the property, was everything just falling out of all the shelves?
Yeah, it was messy.
I bet it was a mess.
It was messy.
Did anything get broken?
No, I don't remember anything getting broken. The shelves and cupboards that we put the dishes in, we tied them shut so they couldn't open. But there was, canned goods and food and cleaning supplies and pots and pans and all over the floor, and it was kind of messy. But
and when you put it back up on the property, it was all collywonkus. Like it never was the same again after you moved it.
Well, there might have been a little settling involved, or it didn't move as well as you'd think it would have.
I also remember, I don't know if you remember this, but that little teeny tiny 2-man boat you had.
Yeah.
And I'd never been in a boat before.
Right.
Like we always were on the river.
Fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either on a river or a
lake. Yeah.
I don't think it even had a motor. I think we rode. Did we row in that thing?
Yeah, for a while till I don't know where I found it or how I got it, but I found this old little trolling motor. It was battery operated, mounted that trolling motor to it, and that worked pretty good. As long as I had a battery. I had to take the battery out of the truck.
It clearly was a 2-man boat, but we fit 4 people in that boat.
Right. Fishing poles at every corner.
And there's only one bench. This is like 2 men, you know. Right. One of us would be sitting on the floor on each side, and then an adult had to be on each side so that we wouldn't get cattywampus.
Right.
And I don't know if you remember when we tipped that boat.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I was in the back, yeah.
All because I think
that was a proud moment.
Yeah. I think actually we had all 5 of us in that time. I think something happened with Seamus. Like he got his hook stuck, and so Mom got up to help him. Well, she was keeping that side of the boat down.
Right. She got out of the boat. And we ended up in the river.
We were face down in the river.
Yeah.
It was the first time I learned that I really could swim.
Right.
Like I'd done a little practicing on the side.
Dog pedal here and there.
Dog pedaling, you know. Pretty soon I see Christine pop up and she's dog paddling.
Right.
Mom's got Seamus like on her side and she's swimming, and somehow in the middle of a lake, you could not reach the bottom of the lake. You got that boat tipped back over and just one at a time started putting us back in it.
Yeah, and then the trolling motor, I remember the trolling motor, when the boat tipped upside down, the trolling motor went in the water.
Yes.
And I caught the battery, which was
sinking, right?
It was sinking, yeah. And I caught the battery, and the battery was hooked to the trolling motor. So I was able to save the motor and the battery so we could get home, because that was the battery to the truck.
Yeah.
So,
that's right. You'd have to take the battery out of the truck so we could go trolling.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I always parked the truck when we did that. I always had to be mindful to park the truck on a hill so that, if the battery went dead, that I could clutch start the truck.
It was so fun. You made sure that we knew it was okay to talk to you about anything.
Right.
And that's so much different than anybody else I know. Shortly after the divorce, you'd moved. I was visiting you, and I actually started my period.
Mm-hmm.
You and I were standing in the middle of this, like, mini mart in the girly section. You're like, well, what do you need? And I was like, I don't know what I need.
Right.
And you're looking at the packages, and you're reading the directions. Like, I don't think this is the one we need.
Right.
And you ended up buying me these pads that were, like, the size of diapers.
I mean, I didn't know about them things.
And we went back to your apartment, and I'm putting these things on, and I don't even know what I'm doing, and you're standing outside of the bathroom.
Right.
Because you don't want to see any of that.
Yeah, no. You can't unsee something like that.
So you're standing out there for moral support, and you're like, how's it going in there? And I'm silent for multiple minutes, and you're like, are you okay? And I'm like, Dad, I don't know how to do this.
I got some duct tape out here if you need it.
Oh my gosh, if you got to duct tape your very first pad in, you're not doing it right.
Whatever works.
And you're like, let me know if you need anything. And I'm sure you're out there probably thinking, please don't call me in there.
Right.
So finally I get this sticky thing. It's like a foot long. And I go to put my pants on, and it's hanging out the front and the back of my jeans. Because it's so big. It's going up to my belly button, halfway up my back, And you're like, I don't think we got the right ones, baby girl.
Right. Yeah.
So we go back
to the store. Yeah. I finally got a hold of the cash register, a lady.
Yeah.
Say, hey, can you help us out here?
Somehow you talked her into exchanging the wrong ones.
Hey, I wasn't going to waste that $2.
It's missing one gigantic pad.
Right.
And we did not pay for that second batch, I'll tell you that much.
No.
We really appreciate that you came on the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
We have my very own brother, Seamus. Welcome to the show, Seamus.
Thank you, Rosie. It's an extreme honor to be on this magnitude of a show.
Wow. I mean, all of our hundreds of listeners, they're going to love what you have to say.
You guys are awesome. Was it Dave? I still remember you.
His name was Dan.
Oh, sorry. Dan. Not, I wasn't trying to be disrespectful, Dan. I really honestly thought it was Dave.
Well, I think Dan still listens. He every now and then will still like something that we do. So he's out there, he's not really contributing, like he's not sharing the podcast or anything, but we just haven't gotten to that level with Dan yet. We'll get him. Don't worry, he'll come around.
I have faith in you.
Yes, thank you. Seamus is actually an early investor in our podcast.
Yes.
We have spent many of Seamus's dollars over the years. And so he's an early investor. He believed in us first. So what do you think of the show so far?
Being the reason you have clean clothes, it's going well. My investment, it's paying off in dividends.
Oh, good. So what was it like growing up with me for a big sister? Be honest.
We didn't get along at first, for the first 14 years of my life.
Yeah, because you were like a Tasmanian devil.
Yeah, and you were super anal. And you couldn't
a little bit retentive.
You couldn't have a single thing out of place. And I wanted chaos and everything out of place. Because that's what actually our life was supposed to be.
Yeah, I know. I wanted to organize our crazy life. You and Christine were having fun.
You were also having a lot of fun.
Cleaning up after you.
No, cleaning the outdoors.
You want to know what? There wasn't a single stick that went unstacked while I was in the forest.
Yeah, and there's also a large crater outside the house where you swept the dirt. Yeah, I don't know if I exactly intended to have fun with the chaos. I think that was just a way of life that I embraced. Yeah. So it's like, okay, so much around us is crazy.
All right. Dad was a junker, so we collected a lot of stuff before he even left.
Oh, yeah. It was real easy for Mom to collect stuff when Dad was bringing home most of the things he found.
So a lot of our audience doesn't know what it's like to grow up in extreme poverty with a single mom. I like to talk about that a little bit. Even before, when we had Dad, life was kind of unique for us because we were technically at that poverty level in life. A lot of times, we wouldn't have things. We learned to go without, right? One time, one of my earliest memories is actually going out in the forest with Dad to go hunting, and we got a deer. We brought it home, and he plopped the thing on the kitchen table, like legs up.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember this?
Which time? This wasn't a unique occurrence.
I know, but now that I know more about hunting, being married to the November family, and not a single one of them has ever said, yeah, and we bring the deer in the house and we put it on the kitchen table. Like, the thing still had fur. It wasn't even done yet. Like, I don't think he'd even hung it yet. What the heck was he doing with the deer on the kitchen table?
Well, I'm sure that most of the Novembers... Hold on. Let me reverse. I'm sure that all of the Novembers had proper licensing to go hunting. So displaying an animal, not a big deal to them.
Right. But when you're poaching...
Yeah. You gotta keep that stuff indoors.
Like, I just remember seeing this deer, for weeks. It stunk. It was gross. And I think eventually he did move it out to the shed where it couldn't be seen out there. But it was such a weird life,
Yeah, thinking back, if I were him, I would have hung it over the bathtub.
Yeah.
But on the kitchen table, not great. Come on, Dad.
Spot. Yeah, pick it up, Dad. We know you're listening. We remember.
The Texas Rangers might be out for our father.
I know, exactly.
When Dad was in the house, he was like, okay, bedtime. How old are you? You're 8. Bedtime is 8. How old are you now? 9? Guess what? Bedtime's 9. 10. You're 10 now?
Yeah.
Well, your brother's going to get pretty upset with you if you're up until 10. So you're going to bed at 9.
Exactly right. And then after that, I didn't have anybody else to tell me because I don't think the numbers continue to
Right.
go up.
Right. But I was pretty upset to go to bed at 5 o'clock.
Yeah. When did you first know that I was an idiot?
Like I was saying before, you were sweeping the dirt. I think the first time I seen you sweeping the dirt was for sure
Yeah.
when I was like, what an idiot.
She's probably going to have a podcast someday called I Love My Idiot.
No, I thought that here comes early alcoholism.
Do you remember how I used to wear my like ratty old snow gloves into the forest?
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to touch anything.
You didn't want to get dirty.
I would be so hot in my snow gloves, but it was really important to me that I did not get my hands dirty.
Right. Which is why I still think, I'm making an amendment. I still think that, yes, I was the best coner. By far. But
Yeah.
I don't know if you were better than Christine. I think that both of you worked as a team because she didn't want to find the cones.
No, I know.
But you didn't want to touch the cones. So if you guys usually worked as a
we
team.
did. I found them. She picked them up.
Right.
But here's the thing about Christine. I talked to her about this yesterday, and she was telling me, she goes, yeah, you know why I hated coning? Because all the bees would sting me when I was out there. Remember when she walked right into that bee's nest?
Mm-hmm.
She like didn't see it, and it like 500 bees came out of this thing, and she looked like she had chicken pox for days.
Yeah. I mean, I've been there too. I've ran into a nest or two out in the woods.
Yeah.
And
I've seen it personally. It's not pretty.
No, because you've seen me naked. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
You start getting stung by bees, they get in your clothes.
Uh-huh.
So I've been, naked in the woods several times running from bees. And our pickup was not close.
No.
So you run for a long time before bees give up.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that much.
They hold resentment for sure.
For Christine to hate the experience because of bees, it's garbage. You gotta pick yourself up from your bootstraps and get back to coning.
Naked or not, we got cones to get.
We got cones to get. So our great uncle claims that he's seen Bigfoot once. He was out hunting. He may or may not have been inebriated because...
If it's Uncle Jack, he definitely
No, it was our great uncle. It might have been Uncle Sam or one of those other drug addicts. Yeah. And he was out hunting and he seen something super hairy standing on 2 feet. Now, if you think about it, just really think about it.
Yeah.
Bears. But, it was Bigfoot. And then he hid behind a tree, soiled himself, admittedly. He admitted that he soiled himself. And then he found courage to make his way back around the tree. Mm-hmm. There was nothing there. That Bigfoot ghosted him.
Ghosted him. Oh, my gosh. So one of the activities as small children that we would do for fun, because, there wasn't a lot of fun to be had, we would go chisel the largest boulder in the field that we could find to try and see if we could ever get to the middle.
Mm-hmm. Because there was gold in there. There was gold up in them hills.
And we were going to find it because we were going to make it rich and get out of that situation. Yeah. So one day I'm in the field chiseling at this boulder, and pretty soon Seamus comes up to me. He's standing behind me and I can see his little cute little shadow. And he says, what are we chiseling? And I said, I'm chiseling this rock because I want to get to the middle. And I was using the head of an axe that had broken at some point, and I had it and I was banging it with a mallet I found. And then you, from the back of your pants, pull out this flathead screwdriver. And you're like, Cool. And you sat down and you had a real hammer and you were hammering away with the flathead screwdriver while I used the head of an axe.
Yeah, I didn't know what you were doing. I just, I had those tools on the ready at all times.
Just in case. They were on the makeshift tool belt that you made, which happened to be the loops of your jeans.
Yeah. We didn't have toys generally, but I made do with sticks and rocks, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
I had this huge imagination.
Yeah.
We all did.
What are some things growing up in a single-parent household that we went without?
Bread? I don't know.
Toilet paper?
Uh-huh. Well, we didn't go without toilet paper. The McDonald's always kept stock of toilet paper. And, you fake a customer until you get your toilet paper and then you check out.
You always wore a backpack everywhere you went, just in case that you could sneak away with some toilet paper.
I mean,
we never were thieves. Like,
no.
We never stole, technically.
No, we just admitted to stealing. Let's be honest.
But we weren't stealing, like, things that were for sale. But we would take of things that were public.
Yeah, they were openly letting people use that toilet paper.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
there was no sign saying you can't use that toilet paper elsewhere.
And you used all the toilet paper, including the ream of the toilet paper.
Yeah, you use the empty roll.
You do. You use every piece.
You don't flush it.
No.
But you use it.
Another thing, we got a lot of stuff from the dollar store. That's where our toothpaste came from, our shampoo.
And if we want to get real wild, they got food at the dollar store.
Sometimes they had some cream corn, but Mom would never buy it. We can get it cheaper at the food bank or like...
We had to work for the food bank.
I remember this one time the food bank was having this garage sale.
Mm-hmm.
And there was the biggest pile of clothing I had ever seen. And they go, okay, kids, you get to go sort the clothing.
And you were in heaven. You're like, wait, I get to organize?
I loved organizing.
You loved organizing.
Yeah, but I hated touching other people's clothing.
It's true.
So
you were conflicted.
I was doing the thing I love, but I have to touch like gross stuff.
Yeah, I was never scared of touching the clothing because it all smelled like bug spray. So I was like, this has been disinfected.
Yeah, for sure. Their version of disinfecting was just hose that sucker down with bug spray.
Yeah.
Do you remember all the mothballs?
I remember all the mothballs. I remember the gas chamber for bugs.
Yeah.
They would throw all the clothes into this room, and I guarantee they threw a couple bug bombs that, you buy at the grocery store. Just throw 4 or 5 of those into this room. Those shirts and pants and, honestly, old underwear are getting disinfected.
Yes. There is not a bug to be had. Every cockroach was completely dead.
Yeah.
In fact, touching it, I felt a little bit unsafe, even though I was wearing my mittens.
Mm-hmm. All-purpose Christmas mittens.
Actually, I found some new mittens when I was there.
That's where you got your old mittens.
Yeah.
It's the food bank.
Even my mittens could not protect me.
I think I remember you requesting a dust mask. They were not provided.
They were not. Jody at the front counter was like, absolutely not. You can't have that.
She's like, girl, those are for the adults. You kids have good enough immune systems. You can live without. She's pretty mean.
She was so mean. You would ask for something specific, and she would just never give it to you.
Right.
That she would give us worse boxes just because we asked.
Yeah. It didn't make sense that we were getting worse boxes because we actually worked for the food that we were getting.
Yeah.
We stocked those shelves.
Oh, yeah.
Several times.
I'm not going to lie. Sometimes some of the good cereal
found its way. I know.
Like when we could get Captain Crunch or like
Cocoa Pebbles.
Cocoa Pebbles, baby.
Name brand Cocoa Pebbles.
Yeah, this was legitimate name brand cereal. I always had my backpack and my pair of all-purpose
Christmas mittens.
everywhere I went.
Right. Just because cereal's expired does not mean it's bad.
No.
It's still crunchy. Once it's open, that whole box has to be devoured.
Exactly. Because it stays fresh for about 2 hours.
45 seconds. 45 seconds is your window. Get in there.
Eat it fast, kids. Eat it fast. Yeah.
If it has a toy in there, you better play with it quick.
Okay, so I remember this one time at school, they were doing this fundraiser for like you bring the canned food, and I'm pretty sure it showed up back at the food bank.
Right. No, it was definitely a food bank canned food drive.
So I take my bag and I'm like thinking, okay, well, I sort of have my mom's heart. So I'm like, maybe we should give them the cream corn, you know?
Wrong.
And you would not let me. You were like, no way are we giving away
I was like,
the
hey,
cream corn.
A can of food is a can of food. You know what? They're getting the mystery meat.
Yeah.
Does it say top shelf canned foods? No. It says canned foods.
So I take these 3 cans of mystery meat to school and I give it to the lady who's collecting. And she goes, this is from the food bank. And I said, this is all the canned food I have.
You're like, yeah, now they don't have to label it again.
And she refused to take it.
But going back to Mom's gentle heart, I remember one time we were doing a canned food drive and we were in a similar situation. And I was like, no, we're going bottom of the shelf. We have some name brand artichokes or whatever it is. And Mom comes around the corner and she's like, what are you guys doing? And we're like, oh. Well, there's a canned food drive. And we just really wanted to give to the poor. Yeah. And Mom's like, oh, okay. And so she looks in our bag and she's like, yeah, poor people don't want this stuff. And so she puts back our canned artichokes and cranberries. And then she's like, they want cream corn, beans. I'm like, Mom, you can't put the beans in there because it's not name brand.
Yeah.
She's like, okay. So she pushes aside. She dusts off the Bush's beans that we've been saving.
That is our precious Bush beans. Like, we committed not to eat it until Thanksgiving. We instantly burst into complete tears at this point.
Yeah, but we are so distraught.
Tell them about the time when you got in trouble at school.
Well, I don't exactly remember what I did, but I got sent to the principal's office. The front office ladies were like, okay, well, this is your last chance. This was your last offense. We need to call your mom. I'm like, can you please? We haven't seen her in like 4 days. So we're running out of mystery meat. If you could get a hold of her, tell her to at least call home.
We really appreciate that you came on the show. We'll talk to you again soon.
I'm glad to be here.
Okay, Clyde, we didn't do Google searches last week.
2 weeks in a row, actually.
I know. People have been very disappointed. So let's get to it. Hand me your phone. Let's see what you've been looking at. Why did you Google search how many extension cords is too many?
Well, this was all because of your dad. He came into town with that big camper trailer that he pulls. And when he gets there, he tells me that it has air conditioning, but it only works if you plug in an extension cord. So I told him, I have tons of extension cords, but apparently none of mine work. Because they have to be these big old honking cords that can take like more power.
Honestly, I'm proud of our house for even sustaining the amount of energy that I bet he was consuming.
Oh, hold on before you make assumptions. This story's going places.
Oh my gosh.
So he pulls out the standard cord and then he has an extension cord and he plugs those two together and he said, okay, this can plug into just a regular outlet because he had some kind of converter. So I take it and I have to actually put it under our fence and loop it through the backyard. And then we're a little bit short. So I'm like, oh, shoot. And he's telling me, okay, we could go to the hardware store and get some more extension cords or I could run this generator. And then he pours some gas in this generator and pulls the string and this thing is like
so loud.
It sounds like one of those dirt bikes out there, like ring, ring, ring.
I cannot believe our neighbors did not complain. It was so loud.
Yeah, so I said, well, maybe we should look into that extension cord thing. So him and I went to the hardware shop, and I asked him, I said, is it safe to have 3 extension cords? He said, oh, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. But then we were looking at the extension cords. I didn't realize this. To buy one of those honking extension cords, it's like $120.
Whoa.
He turned to me and he said, well, gas it is. And so that generator ran for like 3 days. Not one complaint.
Not one complaint. We have the best neighbors in the whole world. All right. Why did you Google search, does rubbing dirt on it actually help?
Well, I've always heard
First
that.
off, what are you wanting to rub dirt on?
Well, there's that old saying like, oh, rub some dirt on it, you'll be fine.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So we were working in the yard. Our son Rex fell, scraped his knee, and I told him, rub some dirt on it. He grabs a handful of dirt, and I said, wait.
Oh,
Not
man.
really. Because in my mind, I was thinking this is just an expression that people say. So I looked into it, and as it turns out, rubbing dirt on it is something people actually do because it helps clot the bleeding.
Really?
Yeah, so that's where the expression rub some dirt on it comes from. Because if you have a really bad wound that's bleeding very bad, rubbing dirt on it can definitely be beneficial to you.
Good to know.
His was a tiny little scrape. I don't think it was in need of dirt. And I also wonder about all the bacteria and stuff in dirt. Like, seems like that would make it worse, but, you know, Google verified it. It's a real thing, people.
Very interesting. All right. Why did you Google search, is it illegal to kill Bigfoot?
Well, I found out some interesting stuff. Okay. And I know
I don't understand your obsession with Bigfoot. I
It-
really don't get it. I really don't.
It's not an obsession. I just want to have a full understanding. And I know you don't believe in Bigfoot still,
No, he's not real.
but maybe this will actually help you believe in Bigfoot. Did you know in the state of Washington, which we all know is where Bigfoot calls his home?
Do we know that?
Yes.
All right.
In 1984, they made an ordinance that if you killed a Bigfoot, you could spend a year in prison and have to pay up to $1,000 fine. And I'm not making this up. I
Wow.
know a lot of people are hearing this and saying, oh, that's bull crap. He's making that up. I'm not. Google it, people.
So
it's
you're
real.
saying a politician in 1984 believed in Bigfoot enough to protect him?
Okay, you said a politician. Let me tell you how it works when you want to pass a bill.
Oh my gosh.
You have to go to the courthouse. You have to convince an entire room of legislators.
I cannot believe that this happened.
Then, if they pass it, it goes to the House or the Senate. I can't remember. Anyways, I teach government, but it's my least favorite subject to teach. So then the Senate has to pass it. All right. So, yeah, it's, you know.
So it passed all these people.
All these highly educated elected
Oh my
officials
gosh.
in the state of Washington, 1984. Don't kill Bigfoot if you come across him. If you're in Washington, if you're in Oregon, go for it.
Oh my gosh. Well, you're an idiot. But I love you.
I love you too, Rosie. I love you so much, and spending time with your family this week made me love you a little bit more.
Every time you spend time with them, you get to know me just a little better.
I know. I hear some good stories about you, and it just makes me sometimes shake my head, but it makes me say, you know what? I'm so glad that is my wife.
Thanks, Clyde.
And here's the thing. I do want people to know that I absolutely adore you.
I adore you too.
But it doesn't mean I'm not afraid to call you out for your flaws or anything.
I know, but it was really funny because today, little Rosie from the back seat says, Daddy, don't be an idiot. It was
Oh,
so
yeah. See, the problem is because of this podcast,
Yeah.
the word idiot has slowly become an everyday word in our household.
I know.
We didn't used to say the word idiot that much, at least not around the kids.
Yeah.
But now the kids hear it a lot more. And every time people visit or come to town, they talk about idiots they saw. So the kids are just hearing it a lot more. Well, now they're getting ready to go back to school. And I'm just waiting for a phone call
I know,
from a
right?
teacher that's like, dude, your kid called someone an idiot.
I know. I'm worried about that too, especially because little Rosie has made it a part of her vocabulary.
Oh, yeah. And
She's never once called me an idiot, but she calls you an idiot constantly.
Yeah, because she's following your example. It goes to show who gets called the idiot most often.
That's right. It's you. Well, on that note, it's been another great podcast, and we're really grateful for all of our listeners. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Don't forget that you can listen to our podcast on just about any platform out there.
That's right, and we have our website at ilovemyidiot.com.
Tell a friend about our podcast if you love us. Tell an enemy about the podcast if you hate us.
Have fun, laugh often, and don't forget to tell your idiot that you love them.
I love my idiot.
We're running out of mystery meat.